Welcome everyone. This is Debbie Mayberry with National Kitchen and Bath Association. Today's session is called Tech, Meet My Parents, Smart Kitchen and Baths, Aid Independent Living. This is with Paula Kennedy, who is a certified master kitchen and bath designer, as well as CLIP certified, and she also has a color certification. And we'd also like to thank Gebrit for their generous sponsorship for today's webinar, as well as all the webinars for the month of September. And Paula, we are ready to get started. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Debbie. Welcome, everyone. Hope you are having a great morning or early afternoon, wherever you are there, sitting there having coffee or lunch, I'm sure. I'm in Seattle, still working on my first cup of coffee. Thank you, Gebrit, so much for your sponsorship, and thank you, NKBA, so much for offering this platform for education for our members, and also as a platform for those of us who like to share what we're learning. And that's really just what got me into speaking and sharing even this topic with you, is what I'm learning and experiencing in my life, my parents. You're going to hear little bits of my parents' story throughout the next hour. And my parents are 74, they're both 74, and my father is having some challenges, and we've helped them downsize once already. But let's go ahead and dive in this morning. First, this is kind of the things we're going to cover today. We're going to touch on some definitions, statistics, just to refresh our memory and make sure that we're all on the same page. We're going to go through each of these spaces: kitchens, bathrooms, some general home issues that I wanted to share. I have a fascination with stairs. We'll touch on lighting, a little bit with wellness and safety, and wrap up with some Q&A at the end. Please do add your questions anytime during the session into the Q&A box, not the chat box, but into the Q&A box, and Debbie will keep track of them. And then we will start working on those at the end. So if you think of it, go ahead, put it in there. That way we're ready to go at the end. All right, so universal design versus aging in place. So I am a firm believer in, yes, it's universal design. It's for all, good design for everyone. But today I'm not going to make any apologies. I am focusing on aging in place. It is, by the sheer size of this demographic, it's a group that demands a special focus. And it's also, as I said, it's a very personal journey for me too with my own parents. Our primary focus as designers and industry members is to aid independent living for as long as it is safe. And that word safe is probably the most important thing on that sentence. And I am having this conversation as we speak constantly, with my mom and my parents. I'm actually sitting with my family down in Portland now, spending some time with them. So this is very top of my mind right now. So little definitions, again, making sure we're all on the same page. Independence, what does that mean? It's one of the largest driving forces. It is one of the largest driving forces for us as human beings to have a sense of control over ourselves. Losing that sense of control can be emotionally and mentally devastating. And I see it happening in not just my parents, but clients and whatnot that I'm working with. Now, technology. Yes, I've titled this Technologies, like my hello parents, meet technology, But I am going to be discussing not just about the smart home, not just about smart appliances, but a broader term of technology. It's the human process of applying resources to satisfy our wants and needs, to extend our capabilities. So I'm defining technology today as products or processes that are innovative or increase functionality. Yes, maybe they are also mechanical. Maybe there's an app and they're smart too, okay? So I'm taking a little bit of a broader general conversation with technology. These statistics kind of blew me away as I was doing my research. In 20 years, more than 1 in 5 people will be 65 plus, 65 years or older. Every 13 minutes, 100 people turn 60. And I'm going to point out who the boomers are, and kind of I've got a generation slide here, but I am specifically talking about the boomers right now, and they are different than their parents. They're different than my grandparents. They're not going to just sit back and let me put them in a home, right? Which is never going to happen in my family. My dad is still out there wanting to get out in nature, and he is not happy about what's happening to him. So just to clarify, making sure we're all on the same page, I am specifically talking about the boomers. Now, it's also not just about the boomers, because look who's coming up shortly after them. I'm just turned 52 and will be in some of those categories shortly. What I'm not focusing on today is what we call the silent generation, which are like my grandparents' age and maybe some of your grandparents' age. When we are designing for them, we are often in it's kind of an emergency situation. We're retrofitting, it's something that we're like a temporary solution, right? For boomers and beyond, we're able to really do a really good remodel and plan ahead. All right, so I often get pushback, not just from my clients, but from people in the industry. Everybody's saying, "Oh, they're not as into tech as you think. They're pushing back on tech." I beg to differ. They're not as tech avoidant as you think. This is a great list here that boomers are already, people that are aging in place are already using this technology. How long have they been using GPS? My parents were actually on my chart, talking to their doctors and getting all their records on my chart way before I was. Each generation teaches the one before. My parents weren't very tech savvy on their phone until my sister and I wanted to text with them, or my grandkids wanted to send, emojis to them, and now they're fluent, on their phones. So, you might hear a little bit of pushback, but don't believe it. They're a lot more tech savvy than they like to admit. During my research, and I found this very enlightening, that it's not just all of us, it's not just our families and friends that are surrounding us or our clients. Like, this is really a big conversation at the highest levels. This was a report done in 2019, Emerging Technologies to Support Aging and Population. I can send you the link to that report if you like, but it's there, and it's all about talking about the ADLs, which I'm going to explain. An assistive technology for how we function in our homes. ADLs are activities of daily living. And if you are doing, if you're CAPS and CLIP, and which is, certified aging in place or certified living in place professional, or beginning to work with more of these clients, you may work with some occupational therapists already as part of your team with your clients, but they are looking at these activities of daily living. So what can we take from technology to make their life a little easier? And you know what? It is no different than our traditional kitchen triangle, right? It's all about conserving energy. How can I help my dad not have to bend down to get things out of the kitchen cabinets or reach up too high? It's all about conserving energy, right? Benefits, I think most of us now are beginning to pick up on this and learn the benefits of being able to age in place. The fact that my mom can stay in their cute little one-level home that is easy for them to maintain is huge. They can stay close to community. They're going to be able to be more social, which equals less depression. There's comfort in their memories and having their space around them. My grandmother, who is 93, is in this situation as well and wants to stay there as long as possible. Reduces location trauma, which is trust me, downsizing my parents, that was a big deal. All right, let's jump into the kitchen. Let's jump into the kitchen. Now, I am not going to spend a ton of time on all of our amazing smart appliances that are in our industry, because I know you have been sitting in on a lot of product knowledge classes, and you've seen it at KBIS, and there's a lot of CEUs here with connected appliances. But these are, now, the way that these are actually going to help us, especially the demographic of aging in place and or universal design, anybody that is challenged in some way, These apps, this software, these connected items, they have to be intuitive. They absolutely have to be intuitive and easy, or it's not going to help. I mean, some of us may enjoy them, but it's not going to be able to help everyone. So the smart appliance industry really needs to think about accessibility from a universal design standpoint. You know, is the text easy to read and whatnot? Interestingly, some of you, I hope, are also signed up to attend CEDIA. CEDIA is doing their virtual show this year. I got to go in person last year, and it's not just all AV equipment. It was fascinating, and I got to learn a lot while I was there. It's a free to attend, so check it out at CEDIA. Look that up online, and it's happening today and tomorrow. I think it's a 2 or 3 day deal. It's all virtual. I don't know if this camera exists in the refrigerator. I think there might be one, but for the camera to be able to see what my inventory is, and maybe in the future, maybe make my grocery list, maybe order these things for me. I know since the pandemic, anything my mom can do to help simplify that process and not go to the store, or just simplify all of that. Now, induction isn't new to us, but it does fall into this. And just as a reminder, I actually was able to talk several of my clients into doing this, and they are very grateful. They were not technically aging in place yet, but yet they knew they wanted to stay in their home. So I'm thinking, yeah, you are aging in place. And they did the induction. And so, of course, this is safe for all for universal design. It's not new, but just adding it in here for anybody who is new into the industry. I was really excited to see, and it's been coming for a while now, the touch faucets and or motion sensors now are even better than the touch. So really a hands-free option in the kitchen. And I know you all get pushback and like, oh, the faucets in the airport never work. Well, it's because, you know, how many hundreds of people are using that faucet a day, and you're not using it every day, so you don't know exactly where that sensor is. My sister has one, and once you learn how it works, you love it. And then she moved and had a different faucet, and she misses it. I believe it was it Delta's? Yeah, Brizo was at KBIS for the last couple years. Being able to be clear across the room and say, Alexa, ask Delta to turn off. You know, how many of us leave the faucet on? And it's running and it's running. And, you know, to be able to say turn off, let alone, hey, fill cup 8 ounces or 4.5 ounces, or my water bottle is 23 ounces. To be able to give specific instructions like that is going to be extremely helpful. I do believe that voice, for the vast majority, there's never a one size fits all, right? We know that with our clients. But for the vast majority, voice activation, voice engagement or interaction is one of the most intuitive ways to interact with our world. And so I do believe that that's going to be, you know, whether my dad's eyesight or ears, hearing is failing, he can still tell the faucet to turn on or off, right? Okay, temperature cues. There were a few faucets that I've seen, you know, we've all had the labels for years. There's a little hot label on one and the, you know, cold label on the other. But now we can use LED lights to control, it's additional cues. We need, for universal design, we need to be able to learn how to give additional cues for temperature. And so lighting really helps do that. And there are a few faucets on the market now that will do this. One was Brizo. I know there's some other manufacturers as well. I think the Brizo one actually turns violet for warm. So blue, cold, violet, and then I don't know what some of the other ones do. Ozone and germs. So germs, I know, are at the top of our minds right now. And remember when I said to be able to remain independent for as long as it's safe. Their home has to be safe, environmentally safe. You know, from germs and the air quality and all of those things. And so I've added this in here because, you know, ozone is, I'm still learning about it. I'm not an expert at it yet, but I know who to go to to talk about it. And there are faucets that have this filter, or this company actually has their faucet too, but there's a number of these out there. This is not the only one. But the ozone functions as an oxidant and disinfectant for drinking water, and it will clear out a lot of microorganisms out of the air and water. So it's another health and wellness kind of feature that we can bring into the home. I do not know yet whether they have faucets in the bathroom too, but certainly in the kitchen. And I do like that it's great for rinsing off produce. I think that's a fantastic way of using it. All right. What's techie about this? This one actually is mechanized. So a lot of, not a lot, not all, but my dad is actually having some tremors because of what he's going through. And actually my mom, with certain medications, her hands are shaking a little bit more too. So my dad finally just recently admitted, okay, yes, let's try some of these. And he has a pen. We got him a pen so he can write, and it's just heavy. It's just extra weight. And so it creates the need for extra muscles to work to hold it, and then he doesn't shake as bad. These utensils actually kind of stabilize, where if your hand's moving one way, it kind of shifts the other way, right? So it kind of is like a counterbalance. He has not tried this one yet. He's used the weighted ones. And there's a non-mechanical one that kind of moves back and forth as well. So he is testing out some of these. These are things to just keep in mind. If you're, you know, assessing your clients and you see, you know, some hand shaking, you know, they just, you know, they're probably going to be conscientious and a little like nervous about it, or, you know, they don't want to talk about it. There's a lot of these things that not everyone is ready to talk about yet. But if you notice it, you know, maybe this would be a good, maybe it can come up in conversation. All right, technology in the kitchen. I do like, you know, my dad is having a hard time hearing. So having things that are easily accessible, you know, whether it's a TV in the bathroom or the kitchen. But I love this one. I actually saw this unit, the mechanism at CEDIA last year, believe it or not. It actually, that was at CEDIA, this unit that comes up out of the countertop for the TV. So having some of that close in the space. More motorized accessories. There's a few companies out there that offer, several, that offer some of these. Some of them are mechanical, that can be controlled. Others are from your strength. They're kind of, you can, like a pull down unit. I recently got some more education with Bloom and a few of the others when I did a CEU on storage. So added this in. I love the being able, again, like the hands-free, being able to use your knee to kind of knock on it, sort of, in like a push latch. Sorry, there's the word, push latch. Also for the other side, as a push latch, lighting inside. There's so much more I could have added in there, but we only have so much time today, and I kind of wanted to give a good overview of the entire home. So touchless in the bathroom as well. Of course, we know the faucets have been there and coming more. Last year, for the first time, I saw, I think it was Kohler, and there's a few other manufacturers that have it now too, but the hands-free or the touchless toilets, the control for the toilets. So I was really, this was even before the pandemic, you guys. I think as I get older, I just have become more conscientious about germs. And so I was super excited when I saw that at KBIS last year. And of course, you know, the timing was perfect. And now there's a few other manufacturers that have it as well. And that just makes me happy, not having to touch the toilet. Here's some more smart tech. So lighting, being able to light the way and to be able to see where we're going is incredibly important for all of us. I don't know how soon I'm going to have my toilet actually connected to an app, but there it is. You can. And not just the toilet, but your whole bathroom. I actually did have a client. They were 55. So they were designing for aging in place. It was a home they were going to stay in for some time, but still very, active and capable. And they invested in, this one was by Moen, and there's a few other shower systems that are smart showers, and they love it. They love it. They can preset, when it comes on, the temperatures. They've got it connected, routed through Alexa as well. Again, these things are going to have to be intuitive. If you are designing bathrooms without putting an outlet behind there anymore, I just really, really, really encourage you, no matter what, no matter which bathroom, it's so easy. Just put a GFCI in behind the toilet. Just from now on, just do it, okay? It's just do it. All right, that's all I have to say about that. More and more, our touchless and hygiene is going to become more and more important as we are at home more, and also aging in our homes. And for universal design, if we have different mobility challenges, this is going to be really important too. I did see a report that since the pandemic, the sales of some of the attached bidet systems have risen. I don't know what the percentages are, but sales have taken off, and requesting outlets behind there. So let's just jump the gun and put that outlet for them there. We're not going to read through this whole list. We all know spa therapy is amazing for all of us, and for all abilities, and anyone struggling with different types. I have an aunt who has fibromyalgia, and this list is, no matter what age we would benefit from these, but certainly even more so when we're aging. If they're able to put steam in that shower, it is incredibly beneficial as we age. Or jetted tubs, not just a soaking tub. Let's talk to them about the air jets, or some of the other ones. Would be a nice, gentle. I often think about comfort. Specifically when I'm thinking about my parents, they do tend to run cold. And so heating the floor, of course, I'm jumping ahead a slide, but even with the towels. Now we do need to be careful and wise about where we install these. We don't want them to be something that they might think of as a grab bar or grab onto in an emergency, or let's check with the manufacturers and install them correctly, just in case. We're looking at doing a grab bar for my dad right now, and he's not happy about it, but it's time. But imagine, all of us would love warm towels getting out of the shower. And there's the floor. Don't forget, you are capable of heating inside the shower as well. That client that did the smart shower, they also heated the floor. Don't forget the bench. One of the other benefits for safety is that water on the floor will actually evaporate faster when the floor is heated. So that is an additional safety factor, not just comfort. Okay. I just learned that one recently. Here's some general home category items, from food preservation to safety and security and temperature control. Just want to make it safer for all of us. I met Control4 and Home Connect and some other integrators at CEDIA last year. You probably could talk to some of them online this week if you sign up and check out CEDIA. The more connected our homes get, the more we're going to need a professional to come in and kind of streamline it and help us make it more intuitive. Remember when home theaters kind of hit the market and was all the rage, and there was a professional who came out and assessed and helped with the home theaters. It's the same concept. Control4 can manage all of that. And there are other companies that do that as well that I met at CEDIA. temperature control. Let's connect it to Alexa. I think eventually, when, you know, most of us have wearable devices now. I have a Fitbit on that pretty much doesn't come off unless I'm jumping in the shower. But what if eventually, when I move into a room, it knows, okay, Paula's here. She prefers it this temperature and this lighting setting. I don't think we're that far away from that. We tried to get one of these, but we had a cathedral ceiling, and I think we need to get a different model. But love it. This is great for hard floors. It does self-charge, good with pet hair and carpets. These extra little, like, nice little helps around the house, right? Is kind of what some of these are. This was fascinating. Some of these doors, maybe less so inside of a residential home, is the weight of a door might be too heavy. Certainly these are going to be great for maybe in condos and apartments or more commercial buildings where that door is literally heavier or harder. I just need to make sure that that door clearance is wide enough so that if you were in a wheelchair, once it was open, there still was the clearance to be able to pull through. And it is automatic sensor. One of the other things that I really found that for safety and feeling kind of a, you know, control of ourselves and our environment and our homes is we need to really assess the entire home. How can we make the entire home easier to maintain? How can we make things like when there's a leak not be so devastating and not be such a, anxiety producing kind of event that happens? What can we do to mitigate that? Now, a lot of dishwashers have gotten better and better over the years with sensing leaks. Some of them not only sense, but they also have a shutoff on the appliance itself. But there's a couple other, like this Leak Smart and the Guardian, they actually are attached to the home itself. And so when it senses a leak, it will of course send you a message, and it immediately turns off the main water valve. Things like this go a long way to create that sense of safety and security in our homes. Closet tech, I just did that storage class, and I got, and I've designed closets for years, but I knew that this one on the right-hand side existed, and I had to dig in and do a little bit more searching and I knew there had to be an automated one, and sure enough, there is. Space is a premium, and we can't always afford to have everything hung down low where everybody can access it. We sometimes do need to take advantage of the cabinets up top, but how can we make it easy for them to access? Okay, this is probably even more of an issue right now, especially with the pandemic. I'm thinking about my grandmother, who is actually alone, and we're trying to keep people away because of the pandemic, right? But we really do, what can we do to help keep them connected to their family and community? And this is where that intuitive technology really needs to play a part, because if it's too hard or too complicated, they're not going to do it, and they're just going to give up, right? So my parents are currently looking at this. They have Xfinity here in the Northwest. I don't know what everyone else has across the country, but they actually have accessibility settings within the system, and it can be voice activated. If you look at most of your remote controls, they actually do have, the word is escaping me right now. When you're blind and you're reading, oh dear Lord, I'm so sorry. Braille, there it is. Our remote controls have that on it already. We probably just don't notice it anymore, but there are a lot of features that exist. We just have to dig into the settings and maybe call customer support and help get it set up appropriately. So my dad needs a system that is Bluetooth to his hearing aids and also needs the closed caption titles larger, the font larger, which that part is actually easier. And there's also voice, you know, a voice can tell you what's going on in the scene as well. So I told you I have a little fascination with stairs. Pretty much kind of short and sweet, just let's light them. Let's light them. Let's, if we can reduce stairs, if people are moving into homes that have less stairs, that's great. Thinking about reworking the front entryway with grab bars and or no steps would be fantastic. But let's light the way, and there's beautiful ways with LED lighting that we can do that today. Now, not everyone has the ability, the space, the finances or whatnot to retrofit their stairs, but if we can plan ahead, it will make it more cost effective than having to do it, you know, when there's an emergency. I really enjoyed, you know, not everybody would have this image on the right. Not everybody would have the option of doing this, but rather than taking up the space on the inside, can we add it to the exterior of the home? Sometimes that's going to be an easier retrofit, of course, than retrofitting the inside for an elevator. But my dad was fascinated with these. He's like, where can I get one? All right, let's touch on lighting. We all know, we all have sat in on many amazing lighting classes with NKBA, and I just want to specifically kind of zero in on what can we do for aging in place and with lighting. And basically, you know, kind of the bottom line is we need to increase lighting levels. In a kitchen for task lighting, we need to increase that up to 100-foot candles. The ambient lighting, which is your decorative lighting or general lighting, up to 40. Bathroom lighting needs to go up. So we just, in each room or each space where there are activities or tasks happening, we just need to bump it, you know, bump it up with our lighting levels in those spaces when we're working with those clients. As we age, you know, our lens on our eyes start to yellow a little bit. Glare is uncomfortable. Increased contrast, it really is incredibly helpful, and it's harder to define colors. I know when my grandmother years ago was remodeling, and she did this, what I deemed horrible orange shag carpet, and she's wearing all these bright colors. We realized as her eyes were aging, she couldn't see those bright colors that she loved so much as well as she did. And so she was going, you know, brighter and brighter so that she could enjoy the color. Human-centric lighting. I just love the term. It's human-centric for all of us, our entire spaces, from daylight and just controlling all of the light sources in our homes throughout the entire day, and thinking about the circadian rhythm, especially, well, not just especially as we age, all of us need this, okay? But sleep disorders are fairly common with seniors and aging in place, and what can we do to help aid that sleep process for them with controlling and helping them control the light in their homes. And a lot of this can even now be automated. One of the companies was Lutron that I saw at CEDIA last year, Hunter Douglas, Creston. A lot of them can be connected to Alexa. We can have them preset to come on at certain times in the morning or lower at night. Even if we're working with a client where it's a retrofit application, we can still, like Hunter Douglas specific, I'm sure the others do too, but Hunter Douglas specifically, I know they have a battery operated. And yes, we'll have to change the batteries occasionally, but they're battery operated. If we can't hardwire them in, we can at least do battery, and then you can connect them to Alexa too. So we need to start controlling. I think as kitchen and bath designers, we need to learn how to control the daylight a lot more than we do for me personally, I know I need to step it up with controlling the natural light. Lighting the way, let's give them that light at night. And this one is a motion sensor light that comes on. And I know some of the ones on toilets too are motion activated. A little bit more lighting the way. These are so super easy, switching out our existing outlets with these lights, and they are light sensing. Lighting inside, again, as I was doing that storage CEU this year, LED has really changed our lives as designers and homeowners, and being able to cost effectively and more efficiently light interior spaces. So please, please plan for it. You have to plan ahead for these. When we're doing a closet, you need to plan for the electrician to be there ahead of time. You can't just, okay, the builder's drywalled and we're done, and now bring the designer in and design a fantastic closet or kitchen or whatever it is. And no, yeah, we want lighting. Well, we didn't hardwire it in the beginning. You need to plan ahead. We need to plan ahead for, otherwise you're going to have to hide the wires, and that's just not fun. So plan ahead for the lighting for these spaces, for your pantries and closets. And there's no reason we shouldn't be doing some of these things today. Wellness, I mentioned my chart earlier. I swear my mom was on this way before I did. Managing medication, managing prescriptions, even the delivery of prescriptions, especially today. There are a lot of services and tools out there that can help. I have a tickle in my throat. I'm going to pause, mute myself a second. All right. There are even units out there where a caregiver can manage medication and kind of keep track of what they're using. Are they taking it at the right times? This does definitely get beyond, maybe even beyond where my parents are. But the last time I helped my mom at the hospital with a minor injury, and I was juggling with her medication. I'm like, oh my goodness, we need a better way of organizing this. Okay, so here, this is definitely in our wheelhouse here as kitchen and bath designers. As I was looking for medication and managing medication, there's also the storage of medication. And we do need to have it in a climate controlled, most medications do need to be in a climate controlled scenario, but we also want it point of use, right? So there are medicine cabinets on the market, brands that have cooling, not as cold as a refrigerator, though you could certainly have like a morning kitchen and an ensuite and have cooling, have a refrigerator there. But these were really made for, some of the high-end skincare and whatnot. We can use these for medication as well, and they can be locked. More on reducing germs. This is not just this is overall for the entire house. I think there's another brand that does this now too, but I know Sherwin-Williams was the one that I was first introduced to that had this microbicidal paint. It's their Shield line that does help kill germs and helps reduce bacteria from building. Sunlight naturally fights germs with UV rays. I don't know many of us that hang our clothes outside anymore, but so I've done a little bit more of research about this since I first launched Tech Meet My Parents. There's a debate. Does UV light kill germs or not, or is it overhyped? I talked more with Doug Walter, who a lot of you have heard some of his classes. He's kind of our resident lighting expert. And then some. So his conclusion, and he's done a lot more research even than I have, is that it's kind of being oversold, especially right now, but it's not as effective as what they're selling. UVC is just fine, is great for water and air disinfection. some of the higher wavelengths, UV may kill germs, but not viruses. So we really do need to dig a little bit deeper. I actually did find this Brone fan at CEDIA last year and talked with them in depth. And it is this one is a non-UV fan light. So if you are looking at some of these, really look at the non-UV and the UVC, and let's really dig in. I think this is a technology that will continue to get perfected in the industry moving on forward. We're going to wrap up today with safety, and then we'll have some time with Q&A. Fall detection. It's interesting now, speaking more with my parents, and then after the fact, they will kind of start saying, oh yeah, dad fell the other day, or it's like they just don't want to tell us. They don't want to tell us when they fall. I know, like they're embarrassed, right? They don't want to admit. And so we need to be gentle with that process with them, with our own family members, and maybe even our client, and of course with our clients as well. But the number of unreported falls is staggering because of that, because they're, like ashamed of, they don't want to admit that they're having these issues. Well, back to that wearable tech. Did you know that the Apple Watch, the default setting, some of us may need to go look at this. The default setting on the Apple Watch is that if, of course, it knows your profile and everything, right? So it probably knows your age, but it knows if you are 65 plus, it will automatically turn on the fall detection. It has a fall detection. And so I think moving forward there's going to be a lot more wearable tech and there are on the market already, that have fall detection, which I think is really important. Now in the kitchen, some places that we do have some control of, introducing to our clients, smoke detectors and CO detectors. There was a company specifically that I started getting to know here locally when I went to the Smart Kitchen Summit, and I've seen in a home, I think I'm saying that correctly, at KBIS as well, for is a sensor that you can put in up under the hood. I'm just grateful my parents got an induction cooktop that just made me feel so much safer. Safety from the front door, having that camera, being notified when deliveries are made, being notified when being able to see when somebody that shouldn't be there is there. It's all about feeling safe. Now let's wrap this up. I know Debbie's getting our questions ready for us here at the end. In the future, I know that there are some countries that are actually already utilizing robots way more than we are. Last year, I was at an airport and I saw a couple of these robots here pictured on the right that were short, and they kind of had colors on them and everything, and they were for kids, right? But pretty soon, maybe one of these may be keeping our seniors company, which is kind of sad. We should be keeping them company, but here's a quick little list, a little takeaway for you. You will be sent the recording of this as well. So if you're not taking notes, don't worry, you will get this. Just great projects for accessibility and safety, and the kind of the percentages of that people are requesting these. Grab bars as number 1, 94% are requesting grab bars. The higher toilets, curbless showers. I love it that curbless showers are just kind of trendy right now because it's sleek and contemporary, and that's really great for universal design because now I don't necessarily have to talk my clients into it. They love the look. All right. Thank you again, Gebrit, for sponsoring. Thank you, NKBA. These were some links of some collections of data and research that I did, and you've got my email here as well. And I will let Debbie bring up some of our questions, and we'll see if I can answer them.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Paula. That was really interesting. I really appreciate your time today. And once again, I'm also going to thank Geberit for their sponsorship for today's webinar and all of our webinars this September, and all of you out there, just thanking you for being here today. So we do have some questions, and we're still taking more. So if you have some questions throughout, please put them into the chat or the text Q&A, I'm sorry, and I will put them out there to Paula. So let's get started here, Paula. So how do you address safety and privacy concerns with smart voice-activated appliances that use Alexa-operated devices?
Okay, so that's where we really have to work with the integrators, like Control4. We have to work with them to make sure that we've got passwords on everything that comes into the home. We have dedicated, you know, we live in a world where everything can be hacked, right? I mean, we're already there. Our phones are susceptible. Everything already is. We have to be more diligent with having multiple passwords, you know, two or even three-step processes with passwords and voice identity. So a company and an integrator will help us work around that. But I know it is a concern for a lot of people in the industry.
Okay, so one of the questions obviously would be, what happens with power outages in these devices?
Get a generator. Again, that's going to be a conversation with the integrator. And that's, again, why working with an integrator is going to be so important. I also believe, and actually I think this is a really great question, especially for aging in place, is one of those appliances, as you're looking for their appliances, maybe we need to be putting home generators on that list, you guys.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see here. So you were talking about the countertops earlier. Do the countertop pop-ups, like the TV and the island, seal? So if there's a spill, it doesn't ruin the TV.
Yeah. So it's not 100% sealed, but all of the mechanics inside are rated for water areas. I mean, you wouldn't want to soak them in water, of course, but how many of you have heard of like the docking drawer? Is that the name of the company? Docking drawer. They're the ones that have the outlets in the drawer, and you pull out the drawer and you've got all the plugins in there. The technology exists for safe use in bathrooms and kitchens, just like we have the GFCI, right?
Okay. And then let's see, are there any code issues with putting an electrical outlet behind the toilet?
Good question. Not that I'm aware of, unless there's anybody else on the call today that knows otherwise. Check your local codes. I have not heard of such a thing. It must be GFCI.
Right. Okay, good. These are great tech products to make living easier. Will you be discussing their costs, and how would you prioritize the products if you could only afford a couple of these new ideas?
Okay, I'm going to go back to this list here. Grab bars are going to be incredibly important. Reducing, we want to, and I'm sorry I keep talking about my parents, you guys, but hopefully you're okay with that. But like, we want to reduce hazards. So what can I do to reduce hazards? I can give grab bars. I can do a ramp at the front door. I can make all of the flooring in the home all the same, reduce flooring transitions. Carpets are becoming a trip hazard. Area rugs are becoming trip hazards. So I would prioritize anything reducing hazards first. Safety has to come first in this respect, and then probably going to comfort. Things that allow them, remember the ADLs, things that allow them to live and function on a daily life by themselves. Can they do hygiene by themselves? Can they cook for themselves? Anything that's going to aid that, I would prioritize.
Okay, and then so just when we were talking about the GFCI with the outlet behind the toilet, there's a lot of comments here about, yes, use a GFCI outlet that meets code. Now, one person from Quebec said they're not permitted to place electrical outlets in cabinets or drawers. And she said I should clarify closed cabinetry. Like you said, Paula, it varies depending upon local codes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure if you were able to discuss with some of these tech products any ideas like, cost ranges or anything like that. Do you have any info on that?
I do not. I do not. What I do know is that anything new always is probably a little bit more expensive. The more the market absorbs it, the more we, have more touch faucets and motion sensor faucets, the more the price is going to come down just because of demand. Okay. Like the Hunter Douglas blind, doing the battery operated one instead of the hardwired one in. I mean, all of these features is no different than any other material or surface that we spec for kitchens and baths already. There's going to be, good, better, best, high, medium, low price points for us. It's just going to be another layer of things that we're going to work on with pricing that we can add to our checklist, which, as a caps or clip, that's what makes you valuable to your clients, is having these resources and knowing where to go to get those prices and help make those decisions.
Good. So someone was asking about who makes the automated closet bar that you showed earlier.
I want to say Bloom.
Okay.
That would be I'm pretty sure it was Bloom. If it's not, it was maybe Revachel or Hafele, but I would probably start with Bloom. I'm pretty sure it was Bloom.
Good, good. So there's a couple questions here actually about, you showed some pictures here with the blue light of the lamps, the bulbs,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and they were talking, we were talking about interruption of circadian rhythm. So some people are wondering if, that is an issue with, let me just see, there's one other question about that here. So yeah, the blue light seems to be a big question here about, how that's affecting people and their circadian rhythm.
Oh, okay. So I don't want to make you dizzy going back through the slides, but let me pull that up really quick. I know I can. The lighting. Okay, so circadian rhythms. You kind of think about what we see outside our window, right? There are different colors throughout the day. We want that blue light during the day when we are awake. So that blue light is suppressing the melatonin. It's like, okay, it's daytime, I'm awake, I'm up. But as we go through the day, we want that to start, as the sun starts setting, the color outside starts changing as well. And then as the blue light turns more golden, our melatonin can naturally start in our bodies so that we can get sleepy when we're supposed to get sleepy, right? So hopefully on your cell phones, you have a blue light filter. Hopefully you use it. I turn it on about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, depending on the what time of the year it is, because my eyes are, at 52, my eyes are very sensitive to the bright lights and glare and to the color, and it hurts. And I have a hard time sleeping anyway. So it affects our melatonin, the color of the light.
Yeah, I think they were looking specifically at some of those, like, there's the blue light around the toilet. There's the blue light with those outlets. But
okay.
Very faint from what I could tell from your photos.
But most, let's see, I don't know this for sure, but I would hope and assume, and we can talk to the manufacturers if it doesn't, but since they're LED lights, I bet you we can control the color. I bet we can have like an orange or a red light. In fact, if any of you actually still have traditional alarm clocks by your bed, make sure it's not a blue light, make sure it's a red or orange light.
Good info. Yeah, so let's see. So someone was asking, well, how do you explain to the client the need for an outlet in the toilet area? That is a good question.
It's probably going to be easier to explain now. It depends on the client. Let's see, I will use personal stories. Of, when I was traveling, I got to experience a bidet, and or at the trade show, I got to experience this. And, you know, maybe my parents just installed this because they're similar age. And I always try to pull from personal stories to explain things. It's all about ease and hygiene. And even if they don't want it today, they might want it tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, anytime we're talking about designing bathrooms, it can be a delicate conversation around the toilet, but it's a conversation we need to have.
Yes.
And that's why they're hiring you.
Yes. So there's a couple questions here about, so I'll start with this one about the flooring. So what do you suggest for shower floors for seniors? This person has a client that wants corian for the floor, and the designer is not comfortable with that. Any ideas on that?
If there's texture, I mean, I like that it's seamless, but it needs to have some texture. I'm assuming if corian makes it for the shower floor, they're making it, it's like one of those pre-made shower pans maybe. I'm sure it would have texture on it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good. Okay, and then so another one about similar question. Some people advise against having a stone tile bench in the shower in case someone falls and could hit their head. Do you have any opinion on that?
You know, we are never going to be able to make a space 100% injury proof. You've got to have the grab bars, non-slick floors. Maybe use a bench that's those beautiful teak benches that's a fold up. So it could be out of the way if they don't want it, but if they're, you know, if it's a shower tub though, it's no different than if they fall and they could hit their head on the edge of the tub. I think it's one of those scenarios where we can only do so much, and use a removable, if it's a shower only, use a removable bench. That if they fell on it, it's lightweight enough that it would topple over and maybe wouldn't injure them as much. Okay. And or call your local occupational therapist to consult.
That's a great idea, Paul. That really is. I mean, I think you're right. A lot of people utilize occupational therapists for that. So there was I think we're getting kind of back to the same question, but so if you're retrofitting for living in place, what would you suggest be the initial investment for a client? Do you have any other thoughts on that? It was very specific to the client, I would imagine.
Oh. Wow. I think I'm having a hard time answering that, other than it's, oh boy. If anybody else in the group wants to chime in, I'm not sure how to answer this other than, you know, once you've done it, it's like anything else we've done. Like once I've done enough kitchens, I know a kitchen is going to be, you know, $75,000 to $100,000 out of the gate. You know, I know a lot of the smart appliances are not necessarily more expensive than some of the others. Like GE, for instance, they put it in their more accessible price point line. Just because it's smart doesn't always mean that it's more expensive. I would maybe even talking to somebody like a Control4, an integrator, they might give, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to answer this question. Is anybody else chiming in?
Not specifically on that, but people are chiming in about, as an example, about the corian shower base.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just go through that if you're okay with that. So this person said they had a custom-made corian shower base fabricated for a customer, and it did have a textured surface. So thank you for that, Christy. And then Joanne says, while higher toilets make it easier to sit down and get up, you might also want to discuss getting a squatty potty or something similar. So that's interesting. And then, of course, some people are commenting about, you know, rounding edges as much as possible.
Yes.
Someone said when we were talking about floors a few minutes ago, there's a spray for floors that will make them slip proof and not change the look.
Beautiful.
And then someone said I would begin with wider doorways, heated. This is an answer to what a client might want to start with as far as living in
Uh-huh.
place. I would begin with wider doorways, heated floors, and towel bars that are meant to be used as grab bars.
Yep. Yeah.
And then someone is saying Invisitread is the spray. Thank you for that.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have lots
Yeah,
of,
the request for wider doors was 63%. This survey was 2016, so these numbers are only going to increase moving forward.
okay, so I think we've kind of exhausted the questions. Oh, and then there's one here. I think that one thing we could do would be to challenge manufacturers to make the pricing of these products more accessible. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And they have to keep up. I mean, it's going to be a huge demographic for them too. You know, they want to be accessible to
Right.
this demographic too, right? So, and again, like all new technology, it may be more expensive, you know, the first few years, but once demand increases, it's going to become mainstream, and it's not going to be as, just like heated floors used to be, ooh, that was a luxury. That was, you know, now it's, most of us can fit it into their budgets.
Yeah, and then someone was suggesting multiple grab bars
Yes.
for primary showers that can be used as towel bars. So that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, you guys, you need to revisit the NKBA guidelines and check out the entire grab bar section. I mean, it is really in depth, and there is a lot of information that we need to know about grab bars as far as locations. It's all detailed there. You're not having to start this from scratch on your own. We have that resource.
That is great information. I really appreciate it, Paula. And we're right at the top of the hour, so this has been awesome. I'm actually going to, I want to thank you, Paula, for providing us with all this wonderful information. Here's Paula's information if you need to get in touch with her. I will also send that to all of you tomorrow when I send the evaluation survey and the recording. And again, thank you to Gebert, thank you to Paula for this wonderful presentation, and all of you for attending today.
Thank you. Thanks, Debbie. Thank you all for all your great questions. Loved being with you here today.
Thank you.